All right. Hello and welcome to Coffee with Tim. It's June 14th, 2016. So today I'm going to start off by showing um, just a bunch of new things that have been added since the last Coffee with Tim. So I'm just going to go to an event. Alrighty. Just load up this test event. Great. There's a whole bunch of stuff to go over. Um, actually, let me go to the client because that's where some new stuff is located that I want to show first. All right, so when you're in a client's profile and you have the event section and the project section, before when you would click add, you just see like a little drop down, or the project's just a small drop down field with like 2 or 3 options, not all the fields that you're used to. It was just like a super quick way to add an event or a project, but it was just missing a lot of fields that people have been asking for. So rather than just this little thing sliding down, when you click add, you'll get the full add event form. A nice thing I also added to the add event form is this add event type. Before, if you had no event types because you just happened to skip that section in the wizard, there was just a button, I think a button here that just said manage types, and you had to click that and open a new window. And so now you don't even have to do that. You can just click and add a new event type, just type it right in, and it'll populate it right here in this event type listing for you. Just so you don't have to leave this screen just to create a type. And then also, when you add a new project to a client, you'll now have a full project add form. And there's also a new add project type button as well. So if you are creating your very first project and you've never even added any of these types, now you can just click and add it right from here without having to go to the projects module and create it and then come back and refresh this form. So it just makes it a lot faster and a lot easier. Another really cool thing that I think I didn't even bother mentioning, but is actually kind of helpful. Some people, when they have an invoice, they want certain payments to be collected online and certain payments to be collected like check or cash. They don't really want to pay the heavy fees for it later. So what you can do is, let me just add another unpaid payment real fast. Just make it due tomorrow, 25 bucks. Okay. So what you can do is, if I view this right now externally, you'll see that these 2 payments have a pay now button because they're unpaid, they're ready to be paid. One way that you can make it so that this $25 one they can pay online, but not this $5,000 one, right here where it says type and no type is set, you can click this little guy and set it to cash or check. And by doing that, when you come over here, even though it's still unpaid, you're just setting the type, you can still see it, when it's due, but that pay now button has been disabled. People wanted a way, just like I said, to be able to do that, but without having to just disable all payments for this invoice. So now you can do it on a per payment basis. So if you set it to cash, it'll do the same thing. It just will hide the pay now button. But that's just a extra layer of flexibility that wasn't there before. So yeah, I hope that helps some of you guys. Another really cool, like a mini feature, when you're in the money module and you're adding an expense. So just go and add an expense. Here in the description field, it now uses an intelligent type ahead. So if I know I spent money, I'll just start typing Amazon. There you go. So now it automatically will pull from previously added expenses and automatically populate the category and account and brand and even the description for you. You can just, enter the price and when you paid it, and it just saves you the time of having to go and choose a whole bunch of other stuff. Just makes it a lot faster to add expenses, especially if you've already added them in the past. And then obviously, if it's like a recurring expense, feel free to hit this little duplicate button, choose how many duplicates you want to create of it, how often they should be spread apart, and then just choose the start date for the first one, and it will create duplicates. So if you're like an Adobe cloud subscription, you can just have your whole year of payments already added as expenses just by duplicating the first one. So that's just like an example. In questionnaires, so let's just go to a questionnaire. I'm going to pull up one that was already filled out. And in those new file upload fields that I added a few weeks ago, now instead of having to copy and paste the file link and then to open it, I just now have a nice real quick download button. So you can just click that and it'll open up in a new tab. So nice and easy, just to make it more just faster. Another cool thing I added is in the events module in the event stats tab. So when you click on event stats, the first, you can call it a feature if you want. I just like it because it makes it easier. I added little portlets around the charts so that you could full screen them and see, that way the charts aren't just so squished. It's kind of hard to navigate when they're that small. So you can kind of full screen them. I also added this brand new chart. So this top one shows all the events by month for whatever year you've chosen in here. This bottom one shows all of the events that were booked in this year. So, I actually booked 3 dummy weddings for next year in this year's January. So this just shows all the bookings, and it goes by that booked on date in an event. And then obviously these charts or graphs, tables, whatever you want to call them down here, if they get too squished from lots and lots of years of data, you can just full screen them just to spread them out a little bit, make it easier to read. One thing that I don't know how many people actually knew this, but in this event stats by type chart, not only does it show, I shot 7 weddings in 2007 and 47 in 2015, but you can click on that number, and I added that little tooltip just a few days ago, just so you would know. When you click on it, it will show you all of the events for that event type in that year. So that way you can kind of go through them and just see, oh, these are all the weddings I shot last year, and these are all of the engagement shoots. And so you can view a little pop-up of just for that event type, if that helps, and hopefully it does. Let's see, what else? Whole bunch of stuff. Yep. I added a whole bunch of these little help tips all over the app, just to help give more info wherever you are, just to explain things in more detail. So I'm not going to go over all the places because that would just be a little crazy. But yeah, I think that's about it as far as new stuff that's actually been launched since the last time. So now is the time I open it up to anyone with questions or anyone wanting to see something. Feel free to unmute yourself or ask in the little chat window. Oh, that's actually a great question. Right. So Ryan asked, well, what would happen if you delete an event type? So if you, I'm just going to go to lists and types and event types. I'm going to pop up my events calendar just to show you what happens. So I'm going to create, well, actually, I can do it real quick from here. I'm just going to create a new event here for this test client, and I'm going to call this new event type test. All right, that's for today, 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and we're good to go. And no, I actually don't want to do it. So, so the event for today, this test event, right now it's showing up on my calendar because it has an event type. But if I were to then go and delete the event type that it's associated with, so here's Timmy's test, I'm just going to delete that one. Now, when I reload my calendar, it won't even show up here. You'll only be able to find it in the events listing. So I'm going to change my view and just show me events for today or this week. Okay, there you go. So here's my test event, but now it's no longer associated with an event type. So if you go and delete an event type, you'll want to batch apply the new event type to those events that you've kind of orphaned, or whatever you want to call the term. You basically just made it so that they have nothing. They're not associated with anything. So, oh yes, and yes, so that is also correct. In the so say you shot. Let me go back to the events module for the stats. So the question was, what about the reporting? What would happen to this event stats if all of a sudden you deleted an event type? Well, then say you have 50 weddings that are all destination weddings, and you then delete the destination wedding event type, you'd have all 50 of those events orphaned, and they wouldn't show up in any of these charts, because these charts all go based on the event type first and then look for events that match it. So there could literally be 50 events that just have no event type set, or the wrong, one that it still has an ID, but the ID has been deleted, so they're lost events. So you'd have to just look for them in the listing and batch apply them. You can just select all in this batch update, just apply an event type, and then choose which one it is, and then just batch apply it to all of them. So Tony has a question. Can clients add or update their social media accounts from within their portal? No, they can't, or at least not yet. Right now, the only fields that they can add or update are just their main personal information fields. And I'll just show you that real quick. So when they go to edit info, they'll only see like just the main fields and custom fields that you have that are set to public. So they won't see like the ability to add like an Instagram account or Twitter or Facebook or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely add that in. I just haven't. The whole client portal is actually due for a full redesign. So stuff like that, adding the ability to choose their own profile photos and social media accounts and stuff like that, that'll all be added in at the same time. So that way, they'll have more control. Also, another thing for the client portal that will be added is a lot of people have asked for the ability to have their clients create event timelines from the portal. So that way, instead of the photographer having to create the event timeline. Their clients can just go and build one. So that'll also be added to the client portal once I redesign it, and it'll be mobile responsive as well, so that the clients can just pull it up on their phone and it actually looks good. So. Awesome. Do we have any other questions? Anything else you guys want to say? So in your workflow, so Tony, did your phase only have one task in it?
Hey Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah, oh there you are. Yep, I hear you.
Quicker to talk than to type.
Absolutely.
So yeah, if you looked at your top, yet another test waiting for today, and you deleted the task set up site, it seemed to mess up all the other tasks on my dashboard.
Oh, well, yeah, technically, so basically in the template, it's looking for these master tasks and then just arranging, like in this one, I happen to have 6 tasks, and so there's one that's hidden that's not there. That's what that little blue guy's for.
Yeah.
If I were to delete that, so if I go over here, go to my workflow, and just delete that setup site one. Now when let me just refresh this. Oh wait, I know what I can do. Go to page 2, and then I'll just go to page 1. So now that task is completely gone. And so now instead of this one, when I hover over it says details, that's because that's the actual name of that last task. So I've just completely, it doesn't actually match up setup site, which is the whole reason I added this little tooltip, just to let people know, like, that's actually the task that it is.
And that's what led me to my suggestion of being able to let me turn down my volume. Put like a red cross through tasks that weren't required for a specific client. If that makes sense. I sent you that screenshot of.
Oh yeah, the only problem I found was that it doesn't really work like a checkbox. Now it's working like a multi. People expect a checkbox to just check or uncheck. Adding a third state would get really confusing. So
how would you handle using a generic workflow for all your clients, and then for those tasks that aren't required, how would you handle that?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I know that one of, or a couple of our users, they take their generic workflows and then duplicate them, and then now they've got pretty much the same workflow, but with different intricacies for the different types of events they shoot. So, a workflow for weddings becomes 3 workflows, and the 3 workflows are now, one is wedding with no bridal shoot, the other one is wedding with bridal shoot, and the other one is wedding with bridal and engagement shoot. And so they all have pretty much the same phases, but obviously because some of the different ones, they have different tasks and different phases, those ones are just slightly different. And so then they just, on this workflow widget, they just have each one right after another, because you can view multiple on this widget. Because I think that's really the only way you're going to be able to do it, so that you don't have to go into each event and then start deleting tasks that aren't applicable, and then have it kind of look a little weird. And how come this event has all 6 and this one only has 4? And it could get pretty confusing.
Yeah.
In this big view. So I guess that's probably my suggestion as a workable solution, hopefully.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I haven't seen any other questions come through in this chat, so um, I guess I will end it. I don't see anyone else typing. So, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, no other questions. That's fine. No problem. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday, and yeah, hopefully more people will show up next Tuesday. But if not, no biggie. All right, guys, have a great day.